Hi, everyone. Good morning. I am Diovana. I hope you all can see me and hear me. If you can answer in the chat, that would be great. Just say yes, it'll be enough for me. Hi, Rafaela. Hi. Can you hear me and see me? I guess so, right? Good. Yes.
Yes, I can hear you very well.
I got some yes on the chat, so that's great. Yes, thank you very much, Zainab, Kemal, Clara. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sorry for the delay. We were supposed to start at 11, but we had another webinar and it took a little bit longer than we expected, but we're going to go through it now. I'm Diovana. As I said, this is my colleague, Rafaela. She'll be helping me out with the webinar today. Just so you know, you are able to ask all your questions. So we have a session called Q&A. You probably all have access, and or in the chat, if you can put your questions over there. Rafaela will answer them during the webinar. And if there's too much questions or something like that, then we're going to answer them at the end anyway. So if some questions pop up after the presentation, we're going to answer them afterwards. And in any case, if tomorrow you remember something that you forgot to ask, please drop us an email. We're going to receive this presentation. You're going to receive this video. So please drop us an email with your questions. We don't mind to answer them afterwards, of course. Let's get started. Oh, I always have to click it and I always forget it. So this is me, Diovana. I'm here in Eindhoven. I'm an expat buying manager. I'm from Brazil. I've been here for 14 years, almost 15 now. I have a daughter and a son. Call them my little devils. They can be very nice, but they can be very mean sometimes. I moved to the Netherlands, as I said, almost 15 years, 2009. Rented a place. I do have to change that because I rented, I believe, more than 12 different places before I bought it. I bought my new house. I bought a house, I renovated completely, sold it, made a lot of profit. Bought a second one, renovated, and maybe we sell again. Let's see how it goes. We have a little poll. Oh, sorry, Rafaela, would you like to introduce yourself? Just then people get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I'm Rafaela. I am a buying manager here in the north, so I'm specialized in this area. I've been in the company for almost 2 years now. I'm also Brazilian, so I speak Portuguese, a little bit Spanish, a little bit of Dutch, English as well. I also left Brazil in 2008. I live in different countries, in Austria, in England, and in the Netherlands itself. I've been here for 10 years now. So as Diovana said, I'll be here today supporting her. So if you have any questions, just let us know. You pop in the chat or Q&A. I'll be answering during the presentation. And at the end, if you have any questions left, Diovana will go through them together.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will have a little poll just to get to know you guys, that are just for us to know how you find us, so we know about the whole marketing part. If you have 10 seconds to answer, it's just 1 or 2 questions, I believe 2 questions. So if you could answer those for us. Yes, thank you very much. The website, perfect. Instagram, nice to know. Thank you. Oh, most of you from the website. That's nice. And Instagram, 50-50. Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, I will move forward. I will end the poll and then back. There you go. Wait a second. I have to close this before, otherwise I can't see anything else. Let me go further. Things that we're going to talk about today, a little introduction about everything, the process of core market info. It's always nice to know what is going on. Market drivers, some savings is one of the most important parts, how much you need to have in cash to be able to buy a property in the Netherlands. I will explain why I say cash afterwards. And of course, what do you need to win? 3 tips to win in the market. What do you need to have an offer accepted? Also a timeline. This is an important one. So you have more or less an idea how long it would take you to buy a property in the Netherlands, or how long it's going to take the mortgage and the whole process. And also with finding the property, the process of signing, how long it takes, everything to sign to be able to start the process and to end the buying process. Greatness is achieved in the agents of others. So we always start this introducing our team. So as I said, we introduced ourselves already, me and Rafaela. We also have Ludo and Rick. They both Dutch, but they have lived abroad. Both of them speak multiple languages as well. Yeah, we are very, very happy with the team. Actually, we work really well together. So we work in the whole Netherlands. So you're always going to have someone in one region. So that's quite nice. I take care of the whole part, the south part of the Netherlands. Riek takes part of the whole part of the Rotterdam area, and Den Haag as well, and Ludo in the whole Amsterdam area. And then we have Rafaela in the north. Let's move further. A brief introduction of the company, besides the people that you already see, just to have a clear explanation of who we are. We are not a real estate company. We are not traditional ones. We don't have house for sale, for example. We do help people to buy and rent a property, and also letting property as well. I have all the buying clients that bought a property, I think 6 years ago, and now they're interested in renting out the property. So we also help them with that. We charge a percentage of the appraisal value. That's a very important thing. We will explain about the appraisal value a little bit further. So that's a huge difference on the market process, the buying process. But that's how we charge our fees. And of course, we know what it's like to settle in a new country. All of us have lived in two different or four countries, so that makes a huge difference when settled in the Netherlands. Let's go a bit further then, how we can add value to the whole buying process. Selling agents do take offers from agents and more seriously. We are a very known company in the whole Netherlands, especially in specific areas. So they know us for a long time. We have done business with people, so they know that we always check everything about our clients, that to make sure that everything is correct, that the deal actually goes through and everything is checked. We always work close with a mortgage advisor of your choice as well, so to make sure that you are actually protected in the whole process. And of course, that the seller are very happy and sell the property, right? And the deal goes through and everything is done. We can sometimes book viewings when it's no longer possible. That's very true. A lot of agents, they do leave spots for buying agents. So we are able to book those viewings for you when you cannot do that. We support you by reviewing Dutch legal and property documents. We do speak Dutch. So then we can go through all the documents with you and make sure that everything that you sign, it's completely understandable for you, that you have all the knowledge that's necessary, not sign anything that you don't actually understand. We will help define market value through market data. That's one of the most important ones, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit further. That's what makes a difference for your mortgage, actually. We inform you about rules and regulations. There are different regulations in the market now when you buy a property, or for the future of the property as well. So we're going to talk about them, about the news a little bit further, and then we make sure that everything is okay for the when you buy a property, and make sure that you don't make the same mistakes we have made, of course, because we have been where you are, whether it's renting or buying. So we all have been there, and we know how a challenge process, I don't want to say crazy anymore, just challenge process can be. So we know the feeling, right? Where are you in the process? So I have a new poll, also very fast one, just for us to understand. So then I can go a little bit further. Maybe I see if you are researching, if you have made an offer already, if you have an offer accepted. We have people here before that, believe me, they had an offer accepted like a day before and they needed more information. So it's nice for me to know where you are, so I can maybe go a little bit deep on that. Or when you ask your questions, then you know what kind of answer are you expecting to have. Viewing properties, researching, that's good. Yeah. Did you chat with the agent? No, not yet. Now you have. Mortgage advisor. Perfect. Thank you very much. A lot of people did not talk to a mortgage advisor. Well, we're going to talk about this a little bit further. So then I'll give you my overview about this one and my advice as well. Thank you so much for filling this. It's very important for us. I appreciate it. Let's move forward. Let me close this. I guess I can do this. Oh, stop sharing. There you go. Some market info. Let's work with the numbers that we see at first of all at the whole Netherlands and then Eindhoven area. So those are the numbers for the first the Q4. The average price in the Netherlands was around 470,000 euros. Also for new builds, the price was a bit more higher, 498, and that comes because of the whole energy crisis, of course. People, if you buy a new build, the energy label will be A+. It will be a very good energy label. So that's very appealing now to new buyers, especially. They do want to have then pay less gas, or sometimes you don't even have gas whatsoever. So that gives you also, when you searching for a mortgage, when you're doing a mortgage, does also give you a little bit of leverage to negotiate the interest rates if your house is an energy label A. That's something, of course, you have to talk to your mortgage advisor, but that's when we see that the prices are going higher as well. But the average price in 2022, it was 429, which is a very high amount. Some info, specific figures for the Eindhoven area, the Eindhoven city specific, this one. Households. So you can see how many houses were sold. You can see how many houses were for sale in the Q4 in 2022. Average price, it was around 420,000 euros, which is very, very expensive. Average price in Eindhoven area, 3,000 for the square meters, 3,491. Sales time, the house were sold quite quickly. They were sold in 27 days, which is very, very fast. Of course, this is the information for Q4. If you look, for example, at Q4 last year, the selling time, I believe it was even faster, like 50 days or so. That's how crazy the market was at the beginning of the year, into the mid June, July last year, for example. So this, you have a little bit more information on all the prices that have been here in the Eindhoven market. We go further. Some market drivers. So what caused the price to increase for the properties? Fiscal benefits, tax exemption. Those are the 2% transfer taxes. We're going to talk about this. Interest rebate. When you buy a property in the Netherlands and you have a mortgage, you always have interest rebate that you can apply for it. So in the interest rebate, you can decide to receive that once a year or every month. You'll be deducted from your mortgage. Well, you pay your mortgage and then you get the interest rebate back. So it means that your mortgage value is a bit less than every month. So that's something that also makes the price to increase, because people ended up having a little bit more to buy it. No capital gains. Tax-free parent donation, that's something that is going to end completely, but this works only if your parents, if you are getting some money from your parents and they live in the Netherlands, then there is a maximum that they can donate for you without any tax. It's 28,000, almost 29,000 that they can donate to you if they live in the Netherlands. If they don't live in the Netherlands, there is no limit, there is no tax whatsoever. But if your parents do live in the Netherlands, that there is a maximum of money that they can donate to you. And in 2024, that will be ended completely. Any amount that they donated, they do have to pay taxes on it. Again, it's only in the Netherlands. If your parents live abroad, that's not a problem for you. Lower interest rates. Although I know a lot of people do believe that interest rates are quite high at the moment, 4.5%, 4%, sometimes 5%, and then it comes down a little bit. I did have a client that had closed a house last, when was it? About a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and they did close in 3.8 the interest rate, so it was quite a good one. I know if we compare the interest rates from last year, I don't know, February last year, 1.9. 1.8, sometimes even less. It is, the difference is big. If you look at now, the interest rates are higher, of course, but still, it's a very low interest rate if you look at a curve from the past 10, 15 years in the Netherlands. So it's still a very good time to buy a property. The interest rates are higher than they were last year, but also the overbidding, it's something that is being more controlled now. So it gives more chances for you to be able to buy a property with 100% financing. I'll explain that later, so you can see actually an example, so that makes it easy for you to understand about the overbidding. But then, that's why, of course, the price increased a lot in the past 3 years, because the interest rates were very low. And then it's still, if you're paying 4%, it's still one of the most lowest interest rates in Europe. Yeah? Just remember that. And you are in a country that is development all the time. That they have a shortness of houses. I think that's going to be here, and shortness of houses. Around 300,000 houses are in this country. So that makes also the price to increase like crazy, because people do need to live somewhere. And of course, high rents, right? We all have been there. We all pay rent before or are paying rent right now, right? Most of you are searching for houses, so I believe you are paying rent, and it's going up again in June or July. So the high rents it does not help when you don't have enough houses. The rents are high. Tendency is that the prices go even higher, and lack of supply. That's what I said before. 300,000 properties are needed in this country for that everyone has a property and are able to pay for one. So this is a very, very big number. The current market, increase of interest rates, but it's still historically low. That's what I said before. 80% more active listen, so we see less overbidding. I also said that before. I will go to an example with you about this so that you understand what overbidding is. It's still a lack of supply again, and especially now, not only because there are not enough houses, but the lack of material. I see that a lot of, we have clients that bought new builds. We also have the possibility of helping people buy a new build. And then we bought the property, everything was done. And they said that the property will be done in a year and a half. And because they actually don't have the supplies to finish the buildings, it will take 2.5, which makes people pay rent for more time, right? So if they pay rent for more time, they don't get the new properties. The people that are behind that need that apartment to rent won't be able to rent. So it is like a snowball situation. So that's why we see, that's why the prices ended up increasing from the last few years. Here is some of the news. Let me just take my camera away because I can't see it. So these are some news that we have now from this year and also from last year, but it's always worth it to comment about it. Self-occupancy obligation. So if you buy a property now, for example, if you buy a property now, the law was put in place 1st of April last year. If you bought a property now and the property has a WOZ value, and I will start explaining to you what is a WOZ value. So WOZ value is a value given by the city hall to charge you taxes. So there's nothing to do with market value, nothing to do with the funda.nl. That's probably the website you are searching houses that you see. A WOZ value is literally the value given by the city hall to charge you taxes. Normally, this WOZ value is lower than the actual market value or the funda value. So what the municipality did, they are trying to, because a lot of people, we had in the past, many investors as clients, they would just give a bunch of cash and buy property. And normally those were cheap properties, right? So they can just renovate it or they could just rent it out. So what the municipality did, what the government did, they set up a value in an Eindhoven, this Eindhoven area actually, that goes for Veldhoven, Geldrop, I forgot the names. Veldhoven, Geldrop, Walge, Best, Nuenen. I missed something. Valkenswaard. I missed one more. I will remember later on. But that goes for the area. So if you buy a property that has a WOZ value up to 350,000 euros, and you would like to rent the property, you can't. You need to live in the property for at least 5 years first, and then you can rent it out the property. If you want to rent out the property before that, you will need an approval from the city hall. You need the city hall, we need to approve, you need a permission from the city hall, basically, to be able to rent the property. If you buy a house that has a WOZ value, remember, WOZ value, municipality value, there's nothing to do with market value, nothing to do with fund value. So WOZ value is above 350, then you do not need permission to rent it out the property. But if you have a buy-to-let mortgage, the taxes are different as well, right? If you have a mortgage, you need anyway permission from the bank to rent it out, and most likely you're not going to pay the 2% transfer taxes, but you pay the 10.4% transfer tax because you are letting your property. So this is we call a self-occupancy obligation. So pay attention to that. If you need more information on this, you can click over there, and there is a summary about it. But if you have questions about it, of course, you can always ask now. But later on, you can book an intake, and I can go through with you on that one. NHG increase. NHG is a special mortgage in the Netherlands. It has different kind of interest rates. Normally, they are lower than the normal, and they also have more benefits. For example, if you lose your job, if you're not able to work anymore, those kind of things. So they have a different. It's more insurance company that protects a little bit more than the normal ones. So, but to be able to have that mortgage, you can only buy a house up to 405,000 euros, 405,000 euros. If you buy more than that, you're not able to get that mortgage, just for you to understand. Also, transfer taxes. When you buy a property in the Netherlands, you do pay transfer tax. You do have to pay transfer tax, but if you buy a property up to 440 and you are younger than 35 years old and it's the first time you buy a property in this country, you don't have to pay those 2% of transfer taxes. So I will explain to you that later. But if your property is more than 440, you pay, or even if your property is 350, but you are older than 35, then you do have to pay transfer taxes. But let's say you are a couple, right? You have a partner. So you have 36 years old and your partner has 31. So, and you're buying a property or 430. So which means that you get 1% on the half of the price of the property as transfer free tax, that you don't pay tax exemption. But the other party who has 36, then they do pay their 1%, right? So you still can benefit a little bit. So also all the links are there. If you need further, just let us know. If you need further information, just let us know. But those are the news for this year. Let me go further. What you need in savings before you started. So here we have, I really like this overview because then you can understand what do you need. Remember that I say cash? So what do you need in cash to be able to, I mean cash because you cannot borrow that amount from together with your mortgage. That's why. So that's why I say cash. So you need to have that. Maybe you can do a loan somewhere, but you do need to pay that. It's not going to be included in your mortgage. The bank only finances the property, nothing else. The buying process, what you need to be able to buy a house, they do not finance, only the property itself. So what does that include? What do you need to have in cash? So we always tell my clients you need to have around 3 to 5% in cash or in savings to be able to buy a property in the Netherlands. Why 3 to 5%? And 3 to 5% of the purchase price. So let's work with the purchase price of 300,000 euros. So it means that if you buy a property, right, we're looking 300,000. So 300,000. If you're older than 35 years old, you can count as 5% of 300. So you need to have around 15,000, is that correct? I believe so, around this, around 15,000, right, in cash to be able to buy a property. If you're younger than 35, you can calculate 3% of the 30,000. So that will be around 12%. What is that? What included is over there? And why 3%? If you are younger than 35 and the house we are working now, the fake one, it's 300, right? So that's why we are calculating up less than 35 years old, up to 440, you don't pay transfer tax. So that's why I calculated 3%. If you are older than 35 or houses is more than 400K, 440, then you calculate 5%. What is included? The notary, it's mandatory to have a notary in the Netherlands. They have to write the transfer deed and the mortgage deed. You do need a mortgage advisor, or the bank can also do your mortgage, but the bank also charges you to make the mortgage, not just because you have a bank account and ABN that they're going to make your mortgage for free. They will do, they have to check, they have their own mortgage advisor inside the bank. We do, if you have a buying agent, if you have us, we do charge, as I said before, appraisal value. You do need an appraiser. It's mandatory to have if you need a mortgage. The appraiser needs to make a valuation report. You do need a technical inspection. It's optional. It depends if you want or not. Interpreter is mandatory if you do not speak fluently Dutch. Bank guarantee, that's a 10% deposit that has to be paid to the notary. You can use their bank for that. It's a temporary loan to cover any fees. If something goes wrong in the process, you do have to pay 10% to the seller. Only worst case scenario, but it's mandatory that amount has to be sent to the notary, and you can have this temporary loan from the bank, but of course they do charge an amount for that. And if you go and have any HG mortgage, you have to pay one-time fee 0.2%. Depends if you pay the 2% transfer taxes or not. Again, you will receive the overview of this, so you can check in later. But just for you to understand what you need. Let me go further. Oh, here. So I have to, is it correct? Oh, yeah, we are talking about, no, I think I passed you. Oh, okay, sorry. 3 tips to enter the current market. I'm so sorry, my slide went too fast. First thing, value. So here is what I'm going to explain to you about the market value and the overbidding thing, right? A value of the property. So let's work with this property that we had on Funda. Asking price on Funda is 395. That's what the Funda says, and that's how you make it your view. You're going to call them and go for the viewing because you saw the price of 395, right? Let's say you send an offer, and you send an offer of, we just made it a number here. I'm not saying you have to send that much more than the asking price, right? Just for you to understand. So let's say you send an offer of, you see purchase price 435. So you send an offer of 435,000 euros, which means that that's what you're paying for the house. But you saw the house on Funda for 395. So, and then you see in the middle market value 415. What that means is that after your offer got accepted, an appraisal has been in a house. Remember that appraisers are it's a mandatory for the process. You need an appraisal, we call valuation report, to prove to the bank what is the market value of the property. The bank does not want to know what is the Funda value. They have no, they don't need to know what the Funda value is. They want to know what the market value is. Why is that? Because anyone who is selling a property or any real estate agent, they can put any value that they want. They can choose the value that they want to put it on Funda. So that's why the bank wants to know the market value via an official person, and that's the appraiser. So again, offered 395, purchase price, asking price, sorry, on Funda 395, but you actually offered 435. And then the appraiser went to the house and he said to you, or to me, your agent, I'm sorry, Diovana, which actually I would not let happen to you. I would not like to pay that much and having such a small appraisal value. But let's say he told me market value is 415 for the house, which means that the bank will only give you a mortgage of 415, nothing else. Of course, nothing less unless you don't have the budget. But even if you have a budget of 1 million euros, the market value is how much the bank is going to give you as a mortgage. And here you can see about the overbidding. So that's why we call overbidding, because if you overbid from the, if you look at overbidding, when people tell you, you need to overbid 20%, or now you don't need to overbid anymore, that's what they mean. It's like, if you look at Funda value, it was 10% of overbidding, right? Compared to Funda value. And if you look at the appraisal value, it's 4.8% that you pay more than the market value. So this is for you to understand what the appraisal and the market and the value of the properties. So that's why it's very important for you to have a price research done before you send an offer. And we as agent, that's what we do. We make sure that we know the correct market value of the property. So here is another example. Asking price even lower in Funda, 375. And believe me, those things do happen. Now, not so often, but if you, it's still in Amsterdam, we have a lot of clients that do have to overbid sometimes 150,000 to be able to buy a property. But again, they do, the selling part can choose which value they put it on Funda, right? So bear with me on that one. Asking price, 375, purchase price, the same, 435, market value, the same, 415. So you see, from the market, overbidding from Funda is even higher, 16%. But the overbidding for a market value, it is the same, 4.8. So that's the difference when people talk with you about the overbidding. There is another, we have another example here. The opposite actually for this property is 450. And then here, asking price, 450. Look at this. 450 is the purchase price. So let's say you went to the house and you offer the same value as you saw on Funda. But again, you did not do your price research, right? So what happens, what happens is that the appraiser went there and they actually told you that you offer too much. The market value is 425. So if you are paying 420, it means that you are paying 25K from your pocket, that you're going to have to pay the difference by yourself. Because again, remember what I said, the bank will only give you the market value. It doesn't matter if you have a budget that is higher than that. And I believe here we have another example that it's the other way around. And this is happens sometimes now, not that often still, but it's happening sometimes. You see asking price on Funda, 450, and then you offer 425. And then the appraiser went there and said, yes, indeed, 425 is great for the house, which means that you actually, a lot of people will tell you, for example, that they bought the house under the Funda value, now you can even offer less than Funda value. You might, but it depends on the price research. In this case, it went well, right? So you offer less than the Funda value, and you actually you didn't, it's not that you won something, you bought it on the market value, you just didn't pay more what the market value. And those people who put the house on Funda, they actually added the price much more than it was. The market value was, the asking price was much higher than the market value. So this is a good price research, right? They did it well because they paid actually the market value. So that's a good one. But just for you to understand how market value works and how the appraiser is so important. But before to get an appraiser, you do need to have, you only, well, it's going to say afterwards, it's going to ask you, when do you think the appraiser should come? But the appraiser always come after offer gets accepted. So that's why you need to have a price research done before sending the offer to know the market value and to see how much you can offer, to not overbid, or maybe the asking price on Funda is too expensive, like this one we are seeing. It is common that the market price, that the value on Funda is too expensive, but it's also common that the market value on Funda, like the other property we saw, for example, let me come back to this one. This one, for example, the asking price on Funda was 375, but actually market value was much more higher. So they put the price really down on Funda to get more people to come to the viewing, and then they get more people to bid, and then people are gonna say that, oh, you paid much more than the asking price. Yeah, the asking price, it's not what you should looking at. It's the market value that you should be aware of it, because that's how you can know how much you're gonna get as a mortgage. Let me go through it. Let me skip those slides. Remember, you're going to receive them, so you can go very slowly on each one of them. We saw that one already. Winning offer. So what do you need to have to be able to win the offer, right? Offer a good price, always. That's what the market value is. That's how the price research works. That's how it can help you to offer a good price. And it's not always the highest price. And why I'm saying that? Because the people who are selling the property, they do know the market value most likely, or at least they know around the market value. They know something, right? They are selling agents. They have the knowledge for that. So when they push the value down, it's because more people will come to the house. They can have more people coming. But let's say on that example that the house was 395 and then people bought for, I don't know, 425, was it 435? If someone put it in the offer that they need to have, for example, 100% finance of 450, the people who are selling know that the house is only worth at 415 as a market value. They also know that 450 will never get a mortgage for that. So it means that even if the highest price, it is the highest price, the process won't go through because the bank won't approve that because the appraisal value is not going to be there. So that's why offer a good price is the best option, unless, of course, you're going to pay a lot of in cash. But that's of course up to you. But that's what it means, offer a good price. And it's not always the highest price because of that, especially if you need 100% mortgage. Then you need to be aware of the market value. Offer security to the seller. That's exactly about the price, and that's exactly about talk to your mortgage advisor. Have all your financials set up before you send any offer, because after you send an offer, things go quite fast. So you need to be aware of that as well. Offer the least amount of hassle. What it means is more, don't be picky with your offers, basically. For example, if you're buying an old house, I live in a house from 1906, right? So it's a very, very old house. So when I bought this house, it doesn't make any sense for me to put it in the offer that if there is cracks in the wall, I'm not buying this property, or I need the seller to fix this. It is a house from 1906. So I have to be aware that it is an old house. Things will come up, things will come up, things will be bad when I move into the house, things will need to be done. So I know that. So if you put too much little things, they will go for the next offer that doesn't have that money. I'm not saying don't do it, but be aware and be down to the earth when it comes to what expectations as well, right? Offer a personal touch. That means like let the seller knows that you have talked to someone. Where do you work? Those little things. Some people are very attached to the property. They would like to know who is buying, if they're going to take care of the property. Those kind of things. It makes a difference in the property, and believe me, it does. I've been there for myself and for clients, that the personal touch make the whole difference in the process, really. Do the diligence. What do you need to know what is going to happen in the process? So there are two people you meet, the technical inspector and the appraiser. Those people, the appraiser, as I said before, is the one that is going to make the valuation report. The technical inspector is the one that is going to inspect the build, basically. And I want to make, there was the questions that I already answered. Do you put them before or after? It's always after it gets accepted, because the inspector, it charges around 450 euros. At the appraiser, it's about 800. The appraisal is tax deductible though. So, but then, yeah, those, you're not going to pay that for each house you're going to send an offer, right? So it's not even a seller will even allow people to come before the offer gets accepted to get into this house and make those inspections as well, right? So just I will go say one thing about the technical inspector. The technical inspector, he is not going to turn on the oven or the dishwasher. Huh? He's going to inspect the building to see if everything regarding construction is correct, to see if the roof is in good condition, if the heating system is working, those kind of things, right? So just for you to understand what the inspector does. It's not mandatory. You can choose to have one by yourself. You always advise our clients to have if the house is older than 25, 30 years. And of course, if it's even younger than that, but you say that is people don't take care of the property the way they're supposed to then please do an inspection as well. The appraiser is only mandatory if you're having a mortgage. If you don't, if you're paying in cash, then you don't need one. But if you have a mortgage, if you need a mortgage, it's mandatory that you have an appraiser. They come to the house, they do photos and everything. They make a report that is like 80 pages big. So then just for you to understand. So after your offer gets accepted, let's say you did everything that should be done. You did the viewing, you did the search, you did the viewing, you prepared the offer, you did your price research, you prepared the offer, you send the offer, offer got accepted. Where are we now? To sign the purchase agreement. So where do you bring the appraisal and the technical inspector? You see, you have, after your offer gets accepted and you sign the purchase agreement, it's about 1.5 weeks. So this is where they come, right? One tip that I will give it to you for free is that never sign your purchase agreement without having an appraisal being in the house. And I'm telling you from an expat perspective, because I've been in properties with my clients, that the selling agent would say, you have to sign the contract tomorrow because otherwise we're going to sell the property to everyone else. So that's not a deal you want to do, because you do have the right to bring the appraisal. They do that to scare people, especially expats. So please don't fall on that one. Do not sign your purchase agreement without having an appraiser being in the house. But also it cannot take longer to sign. So that's why 1.5 weeks, because until you sign, if you don't sign, there's no deal. Period. So be aware of that. After you sign the purchase agreement, you do have 3 days to still get out of the deal without paying the penalty. Those 3 days can fall on weekends or holidays days. So they are actually working days. So another tip, always sign your contract on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So you have more time to think about it. If, I don't know, if you freak out, just then you can get out of the deal without paying those 10%, remember, penalty that I said it before. But of course, you're going to have to pay the appraisal and the technical inspector because they have been in the house, they have done their jobs, right? So be aware of that as well. The timeline. I'm just going to ask one thing from my colleague, Rafaela. Rafaela, would you mind to ask someone to take over the intake at 12:15 for me, please? Because I don't think we're going to be done by then. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I have an intake and I will ask someone to take over for me. This is a timeline from the buying process. It's a very nice one. So a lot of you are already doing the search, so perfect. Doing your search. After that, the process is as that's what I do, of course, going through the documents of the property and doing the price research to see if everything is okay, and also to make sure about the price. Send your offer, draft your offer, see all the good clause that have to be there that protects you as well. Put it in your offer, send the offer. Offer gets accepted. You have the appraisal and the technical inspector done. Remember, offer into signing the purchase agreement 1.5 weeks. So in the meantime of appraiser and technical inspection, you're also going to have to find a notary here as well. And then after you sign the purchase agreement, you start your mortgage application. Remember, you have those 3 cooling off days to cool days. It's more like a nervous days. Those 3 cool off days that you can get out of the deal without paying any penalty. Normally the mortgage takes about 4 weeks, but I do have to be honest, I've been seeing people that it's taking 6 weeks, and I also have clients that took 1 week. So I can't tell you why. The banks always use some kind of explanation. We have less people or someone got sick or whatever, but average is about 4 weeks to get your mortgage approved. Once your mortgage is approved, there's not much you can do, just wait for the transfer date. For those who are searching now, when you go to Funda and see that the house is available, I don't know, it says like available. it doesn't mean that it's available for you to move in right away. It means that it's available for sale, for example. So when you call, always ask when the transfer date is, because it might be that you're going to see the house tomorrow. You have to send an offer, I don't know, in a week, for example. But it might be that you can only transfer we are in March now, in October. We do actually have a client who bought a house last year in September, and they're going to move only in July this year. So that's how big the transfer date can be. So which means that that's why we put a timeline of 3 to 8 months. I even saw longer ones. But yeah, just for you to understand that the house, if it takes you about 1.5 weeks to sign the contract, right? So that's 1.5 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks to get your mortgage approved. That's already almost 8 weeks. Plus the notary, it's about 2 weeks to draft the contracts, the transfer deed and then the mortgage deed. So that's 2.5 months. They can be a little bit faster, of course, but just for you to understand how it's not that you're going to get your mortgage approved and then you're going to check in the house the next few weeks, right? So just for you to understand. And then mortgage application. Then there's not much you can do. It's time for the inspection and the transfer deed. Before that, you're going to receive the final note. It's an invoice that you receive from the notary with those payments. Remember, 3 to 5% that I told you. That's the time you pay them. So you transfer that money. The notary will send you an invoice. You transfer that money a maximum 48 hours before you go to the notary, and then the notary will, as soon as it's paid, you go to the notary the next 2 days, and then you get the keys of the house. Before you go to the notary, there is an inspection in the property. You are allowed to do an inspection about, I don't know, let's say the notary is at tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. So let's say, and then around 9:30, 10 o'clock, you go to the property to see if everything is the same state as it was when you send the offer, especially when the period is so long, you really have to inspect it. And they fill in a form, a last inspection form. Seller will be there. Your agent, if you have one, will be there. The owner of the property will be there as well. And then they fill everything, and then you go to the notary to sign the transfer deed and the mortgage deed. And that's when you become actually the official owner of the property. And that's when you actually start to pay your mortgage, not when you get your offer accepted, only when you get your keys of the house. So if you see a property today, you can move in June. That's when you start to pay the mortgage. That's when the transfer deed, the date is. And after that, there's a thing called a liability term and the end of liability, actually. It means that you have around 2 months, I would say, use that in the first weeks that you move to the house to use the property to see if there is nothing major that needs to be fixed by the seller. But again, it's a very, just to be clear, it's a very gray zone. There are sellers and sellers, and there are problems and problems. And be aware if you buy, in my case, for example, a house that is from 1906, that the last renovation was in the 70s. Of course, things will come up, and I can't call the seller on that because I knew it's an old house, right? And actually, there was a clause in my contract that says, it's an old house, be aware. So I knew that, I signed it anyway, right? So just for you to have an idea, but you're also going to have home insurance, or if you are buying an apartment, you're going to have VVA, owner association insurance, that also covers a lot of things. So just for you to be aware of that. This is the package that we work with. We have the smart package and the complete package. And if you buy a new build, this is the package. Remember, I told you about the appraisal value. That's how we charge. So if you choose the smart package, is 0.75% of the appraisal value, including the VAT already. So if let's use the Funda example, right? Property is 395. The appraisal comes, you offer 450. The appraisal came at 410. The price will be calculated on the 410. But if the Funda value was 450, you bought it for, I don't know, 500, the appraisal came at 350. The 350 is the one we're going to use. It's always the appraisal value, the official value that they give by the market value, right? So just for you to understand. And if it's the complete package, it's 1% of that, the appraisal value as well. If you need more details about the package, please let us know. Do it, book an intake. It is for free. Or if you have questions, specific questions to your situation, there's also a nice one. We can also help you with that. It's for free to have a conversation, ask your questions. We don't mind to do that. Q&A, so it's time for the questions. Hello, Rafaela.
Hi, Diovana. Thank you for the presentation. It was really nice and informative.
Thank you for being here.
I have one question from Alexandra. I'd like to ask how much time there is between mortgage application and statement of completion to happen.
Well, it depends on the transfer. Oh, sorry, there was more?
Yes, there is. Let me see. If the mortgage application takes extended period of time, is there any maximum period of time we can make the owner waiting for the transfer?
Well, you can't really make the owner ready for the transfer though, because the transfer is decided when most likely you know, if I were you, I'll ask the transfer date immediately on when you plan your viewing, and that's going to be in your contract. So that's the official date. You can't change that unless, of course, you all sit down together and come to a agreement. But most likely, that ain't happening. It doesn't happen so often because the selling part or bought another property and they have to move in, or they are going abroad or something like that. So they need the money from the mortgage that your mortgage will pay for their mortgage to pay something else, right? So that you can't really change that. And the time between the statement of completion, the mortgage being approved, the statement of completion, and the transfer, it all depends on the transfer. So if your transfer is too long, the notary only going to send you the statement of completion about 2 weeks before the transfer. So let's say you buy a property now, and then you move, and then the transfer date is, we are in March now, let's say August, first week of August. It means that the last 2 weeks of July, they're going to send you the statement of completion. You don't have to pay it right away though. You can pay a maximum of 48 hours before going to the notary. So that's when you have to pay actually. So if you are needing a little bit more savings, for example, you know that you're having to that period to save the money, right? And you don't have to pay anything before that, not even to do your mortgage. So, and after your mortgage, it really depends on the transfer date. Did I answer the question? I guess so, right?
Yes, thank you. It was very clear. Let me see. There is no questions at the moment. Let's wait a few more seconds if there is any new question coming up.
Perfect. Well, guys, if you have questions afterwards, just let us know. You're going to receive the presentation. You can click on it. You're going to have my email right away. Yeah, and then, or even better, if you want to book an intake, we can go through to each situation. Then, yeah, that's also something. And if you do not have a mortgage advisor yet, because I saw a lot of people put it that they didn't talk to anyone, and you need a few names. I worked it for myself with 2 different ones to buy my houses as well. Rafaela did the same with for herself, and we also have people. We also have partners in the company that we can always share the details with you, and you can feel free to call them if you like. I think that was it then.
Perfect. I think there is one coming up from Clara.
First.
If my husband already own a house in Eindhoven and I'm under the 30% ruling, do I lose the benefits to buying my first house?
You mean losing the 30% ruling? You don't lose the 30% ruling, or benefit of the transfer taxes, it might be.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think it's a transfer tax. So it depends on if the house that he's on is also on your name, then if you bought the house, for example, if he bought the house before that exception coming up, you can use it still, because you can only use it one time. But if you bought the house together and you use it, the benefit, you can't use it anymore. But if you never use it, and then you can. But if you did not buy the house together, you could use the benefit. And if he used the benefit alone and you didn't, and now you're buying a house together, you can use the benefit only for yourself, which means 1%. Is that clear? There are a few possibilities on that one.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
I think there is no more questions.
Oh, perfect. Then I wish you all, a very nice day. Thank you for being here. I'm so sorry we were a bit late. So again, if you want to have an intake with us, please feel free to book it, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions and help you out with the process. And enjoy the sun. It's actually sunny in Eindhoven after a terrible start of the morning. So I'm happy with that. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Rafaela, for the support today. I appreciate that, really.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.